The Roman official. The principal part of Roman clothing is a toga, which forms complicated drapery. Togas were a privilege given to Roman citizens. A toga was much like a large sheet, which created a garment by being draped. The toga was made of wool, and its color was usually white. However, senators and high officials had a purple border on one edge. A toga with this edge was called a praetexta. Underneath the toga was worn at least one tunic. A tunic is much like a t-shirt nowadays. Roman boys. Togas were worn starting as soon as the boys were able to walk. The toga of boys of noble families was a praetexta, but the purple border was wider than what is worn by officials. Along with this, boys also wore a bulla, which is much like a large locket around their neck. This contained amulets to protect the boy against evil influences. The praetexta and bulla were worn until the boy turned 16 or was out of school. A boy of the laboring class did not wear a toga, but instead just wore the tunic. Working men. Roman slaves normally just wore a tunic while at work, with no shoes. A free citizen probably owned a pair of shoes, but also wore the tunic. On cold and stormy days, both slaves and poor citizens had coarse woolen painulas resembling a cloak. Some freeborn citizens had a smaller and less elaborately draped toga than those who were more privileged. Matron. Roman women did not wear togas, but instead they wore a stola. It was much like a tunic, except its length reached the floor, and it was wider, so that the skirt hung in full loose folds. It was made of wool, and in later times silk was sometimes used. The stola was trimmed with bands of embroidery, or with bands of contrasting color woven into the cloth. The high-born matrons seemed to have a distinctive border on the lower edge of their toga. Only women of honored and faithful wifehood were allowed to wear this